Njeri Rionge has always considered herself a tomboy. Having completed high school, she started selling yogurt to high school students, then went for a career nobody thought she would take.
I obviously did the one thing that most people don't do, coming from the family environment that I came from, the culture, if you like, the segment of the target audience, if I could say it that way. I became a hairdresser, and that kind of threw people off because you're not supposed to become a hairdresser. You're supposed to become something more fancier, like a doctor, lawyer, and all those things. Go to school and do all that.
It was during this time that Njeri started exploring her entrepreneurial skills by traveling to London to source merchandise for her clients.
And then I also traveled to London, and I bought clothes from Aldgate East and bring back the clothes and sell them to my own customers. I had a very nice need of high net worth individuals who are customers of mine when I was a hairdresser. So again, I'd sell the product to them. In fact, at one point I remember a very good customer of mine spending 7,000 shillings. We're talking back 1980 something, huh? Two outfits, two suits, 3,500 shillings each, 7,000 bob. That was good cash. So, I guess I had the taste for money, a taste for entrepreneurship, a taste for life.
From there, Njeri never looked back.
To be honest, WANANCHI was the easiest thing I ever did in the big scheme of things. Why? When we came up with the idea when we were in industry. So we were working for another competitor before WANANCHI came to be a competitor of that company that we worked for. So we understood the sector, we understood the industry. I had worked for Formnet Africa, worked for Interconnect Limited. Then we created WANANCHI. So really that was the third step. So being at WANANCHI, even though obviously there must have been challenges, when I look back in retrospect, it was primarily really one of the easier things that I did because I was passionate about the internet. I still am.
WANANCHI Online catapulted her to becoming one of the leading icon entrepreneurs, upon which she has received many accolades.
When we started, we started off with good cash. So we were able to buy the infrastructure that we needed, and we were able to hire and recruit the team that we needed, and we were able to do the marketing that was necessary at the time for the business. So that was, in the big scheme of things, when I look at entrepreneurship today, and I look at a lot of the people who do small business, where you start with your own money, and and I have done that now, where I start with my own money and I continue to invest as a family or myself. It's very different from when you start like a WANANCHI with $500,000 in your pocket.
She specifically feels that being recognized by Forbes as one of the most successful women in Kenya was the biggest gift God gave her.
A little while before that, in my prayer, I remember I kept hearing, "Be still and you will know." Yeah, be still and you will know that I am God. And sure enough, I was just still, and the next thing I see is an email from some guy whose address was at Forbes.com saying, we want to put an article online, can you please respond to the following questions? And I'm thinking, Forbes? And I thought to myself, it's a hoax. So I went back and Googled it again and checked it again and checked it from all the different angles, and I realized this is real. So I said, okay, I'm going to sleep and I'll wake up tomorrow morning, I'll respond to it. And I wake up in the morning and there's a new email saying, oh, by the way, we're really, really waiting for you to answer the questions. Tell us quickly, or answer the following sets of questions. I said, no, answer the original question. So I answered them and sent off the email. And the next thing I know, they had done more research than what I had actually written to them. So that was interesting. So I wasn't just feeding them information. They had already done some homework on their own. And what they wanted is just to clarify some things.
As I continue speaking to her, I realize the passion she has in terms of entrepreneurship, but she tells me it does not always come easy.
We're really interested in the whole transformative thinking, leadership thinking, transformative way of reorganizing the way people operate and changing mindsets. So I have a program that I run called Discover Your Purpose. I can work that program within an organization. I can also use the same program within individuals.
When WANANCHI took shape and was thriving in the market, it faced sabotage both locally and on the international arena, and were it not for her and her partners' relentless efforts, things would have taken a different turn.
At another point, we had a situation where they were about to, what would you call it? Bring down the network. That was also another interesting experience where we had people trying to crash the network from the US. We had to stay up, mostly all night to try and defend the network, gung-ho defend the network. that was an interesting experience. Over and above that, I think it was just really dealing with the competition and making sure that we actually came alive and stayed alive. We were the first ones to bring the internet services down to about $150 or 1,000 shillings at the time per month. So you'd pay 12,000 shillings for your dial-up connection, and you'd have internet for the whole year.
Just when it was stabilizing and things were looking up for a baby she had nurtured from conception, Njeri decided it was time to pass the mantle to others and move on to the next big thing. It was then that Ignite Consulting was born.
And it was not as people tend to think it is. It was really, for me, a time to move on. And I did that. I moved on and I started Ignite.
She has moved to create 5 brands where her investor and entrepreneurial spirit gives her the ability to build successful businesses that offer consultancy solutions to companies that work with her in management consulting and technical business retooling solutions.
You'll find that a lot of people have a very good understanding of the technical skill side. And I find that there's a deficit on the people skill side. So I focus my teaching on the people skill side. Yeah.
She now takes pride in all she does and has even gone beyond borders, opening up an office in Toronto. One would think that things would get tough for her, having to juggle between Kenya and her overseas office, but on the contrary, Njeri says it is very easy.
It's very simple, actually. I believe in recruiting well and delegating well and creating systems in a business. And so I could work from anywhere. A lot of the people I plan to work with and I work with currently can work from anywhere. So to me, it's the juggling is really more in the making sure that we have the right systems and the right culture, a working culture within the business.
When she began, all her time and efforts were directed to her work, but she can now enjoy the fruits of her labor, even finding time for her social and family life.
So it's really just a journey. And I feel like I've even almost perfected my journey. Yeah. So now on my calendar, I have all sorts of things blocked out. Life-related things, family-related things, giving-related things, work-related things. Yes.
Having scaled the heights in the IT world and the entrepreneurial industry, coupled with a host of challenges, the business giant says that it was only one supreme power that kept her going: God.
I'm a passionate individual, creative in all of my making, and one who definitely relies on my maker, my God, to instruct me and for me to obey and for me to do anything I ever want to do in the world.
She has a bubbly nature which is contagious and one cannot help but notice it. Njeri says she was brought up in a Christian family and this formed the basis of all she has done over the years, attributing all her success to her maker.
My grandmother grounded me with Christianity. You know, she consistently was there to teach us how it was important to be connected to God. And I believe I was even saved like at age 5. By the time I was becoming an adult, even though I perhaps didn't really behave like a saved person, I had God in me. And I had the fear of God in me, in my life. And I've always had the fear of God in my life. And I think that was the most fundamental thing that happened in my life. So I was able to do all the things I did in the world with that foundation. So I was always cognizant of the fact that God's watching over me.
Given her experience, Njeri reckons that entrepreneurship is not for the faint-hearted and it takes a lot of resilience to make it.
Not everybody is an entrepreneur. So please, if you're not made with a hardcore backbone, if entrepreneurship is not your thing, don't try it because it's not for the faint-hearted. But if you really feel that you've got an entrepreneurial spirit, then you have to keep doing it until you make it. Yeah, but keep it honest and straight. Yeah.
And for anyone looking to thrive in any field in life, take a word of advice from this luminary.
It's important to have confidence in yourself. It's important to have agility and courage. You know, those are 3 things that I think are important. So don't beat yourself up if you've tried something and it didn't work. If you still feel the hunger to try something and you want to do it, please keep going until you make it right. Have courage to keep going and have courage to also say something failed and you're willing to try it again.
Recognized by Forbes as one of the most successful women entrepreneurs in Kenya, Njeri Rionge has not only conquered the business world but also scaled the heights in the IT world, and her foundation leaving it to her maker. Nancy Njoki, GBS.